tonight on First at 9 this Sunday the 21st of December 2025. Public opinion. Protection of the State from Terrorism Bill open for public feedback until February 28, 2026, says Justice Minister. Opposition parties demand the abolition of new anti-terror bill and all repressive legislation. Allegations. Ratnapura NPP MP Shanta Padmakumara accused of assaulting a police constable. Injured officer reportedly involved in a recent raid on a cannabis cultivation on the MP's father-in-law's land. Investigations ongoing. Protest. Unrest erupts near historic Tissaraja Mahaviharaya in Kankasanture. Local residents demand the release of temple land for private ownership. Toxic air. Air quality deteriorates across several provinces. Pollution levels worsen due to transboundary haze and northeast monsoon.
Kalin baby so rupial anuwakata. Kalin baby podi hamotamai.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana News Channel. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story this evening. The draft Protection of the State from Terrorism Bill intended to replace the current Prevention of Terrorism Act has been made public. Minister of Justice and National Integration Harshana Nanayakara says the public will have the opportunity to submit their views on the bill until February 28, 2026. However, several political parties claim that the new bill mirrors previous anti-terror laws and demand that the government abolish all such repressive legislation, including the proposed bill.
The draft Protection of the State from Terrorism Bill, expected to be presented by the current government, has been uploaded to the official website of the Ministry of Justice. A few months ago, a 17-member committee headed by President's Council Renzi Asakularatne was appointed to repeal the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Given that this is a highly sensitive and important law for the country, we believe it should be subjected to public consultation before being presented to the Cabinet or Parliament. Accordingly, the proposed bill has been uploaded to the Ministry's website in all 3 languages. The public is invited to submit their views, opinions and suggest amendments until February 28, 2026. After this deadline, the same committee, chaired by President's Council Renzi Asakularatne, will take the necessary steps to incorporate the required amendments. Several political parties commented on the proposed anti-terrorism bill. A new bill has been introduced to replace the PTA, but it effectively seeks to protect state terrorism. Before this dangerous bill comes into effect, we believe the public will rise to defeat it. This is merely the same Prevention of Terrorism Act introduced by Ranil Wickremesinghe and Mahinda Rajapaksa, presented under new cover. All it takes is a single clause granting the executive the power to detain individuals. It was through such laws that the country became a torture chamber in 1988 and 1989, leading to deaths of nearly 60,000 people. After promising to abolish the PTA introduced in 1979, the government has now presented a new law titled the Protection of the State from Terrorism Bill, which has been published on the Justice Ministry's website. In this bill, the definition of terrorism is extremely broad. It states that forcing the Sri Lankan government, a foreign government or a foreign entity to act or refrain from acting can be considered terrorism. Previously, terrorism was specifically defined as armed action. However, under this bill, even holding opposing ideas, opinions or alternative solutions can also be considered acts of terrorism. There are even references to examine a person's thought patterns when they were writing something. This raises serious concerns about how thought patterns can be defined under the law. The bill also contains provisions to bypass encryption protocols on social media platforms to access private messages. Traditionally, only the judiciary has the power to order detention. However, this authority has now been transferred to the executive with the the Defence Secretary being vested with that power. We see this as an attempt to imprison individuals who hold political views different from those of the state. We demand the complete abolition of the PTA and all similar repressive laws. If the state attempts to introduce new legislations of this nature, we are prepared to oppose it by calling the people to the streets.
The 30% discount on Apico Farm and Spring mattresses available at Apico Supercenter and Apico Daily.
Unrest erupted near the historic Tissa Rajamaha Vihare in Thaiti, Kankasanture this morning following a protest by local residents demanding the release of temple land for private ownership. 5 individuals, including Valikamam East Pradesh Sabha Chairman Tyagaraja Nirosh, were taken into police custody in connection with the incident.
A protest was staged this morning near the historic Tissa Rajamaha Vihare in the Thaiti area of Kankasanture, calling for the release of land claimed to have been illegally acquired. The demonstration was attended by former Tamil National Alliance MP S. Sridharan, members of the Valikamam North Pradeshya Sabha, Chairman of the Valikamam East Pradeshya Sabha Tyagaraja Nirosh and members of the clergy. Protesters alleged that the land on which the Tissa Rajamaha Vihare is situated had been unlawfully acquired and demanded that it be returned to private ownership. The protest was staged despite a court order obtained by the Palali police restricting such gatherings. Tensions escalated as police moved to disperse the crowd. 5 individuals, including Valikamam East Pradeshya Sabha Chairman Tyagaraja Nirosh and 2 members of the Valikamam North Pradeshya Sabha, were arrested in connection with the incident. The protesters later dispersed. The arrestees were produced before Malakam Acting Magistrate Gayatri Akilan this afternoon and were released on sureties of 100,000 rupees each. The case is scheduled to be recalled on January 26th. Meanwhile, in Colombo today, the chief incumbent of Tissa Rajamaha Vihare, Venerable Gingthoda Nandaramathera, was appointed Deputy Chief Sanganayaka for North Sri Lanka of the Sri Kalyani Vansa chapter of the Amarapura sect. The announcement prompted reactions regarding the recent developments around the temple.
I
believe it is best if we can resolve this issue at Tissa Rajamaha Vihare so that such videos can't circulate every month. Every issue has 2 sides, so if it is possible to speak with the other party and allocate a portion of the temple's land to them, it would be ideal. In Buddhism, we are taught to let go and to give. I think it best if we can donate what they have been requesting to the Tamil community, especially on the day of the chief incumbent was appointed Deputy Chief Sanganayaka.
As the controversy over the banned ondansetron vaccine continues, the Government Medical Officers Association asserts that all parties involved in the drug procurement process must take equal responsibility for the importation of the substandard vaccine. Meanwhile, the Academy of Health Professionals called on the National Medicines Regulatory Authority to disclose details of the tests conducted on the vaccine.
The National Medicines Regulatory Authority recently ordered the withdrawal of the ondansetron vaccine from hospitals. This decision followed complaints regarding adverse reactions to the vaccine and a preliminary report issued by the Department of Microbiology at Kandy National Hospital. Several parties commented on the controversy surrounding the vaccine. The country needs a lab capable of testing drugs against international standards to ensure their quality. However, no government has fulfilled this requirement. It is patients that suffer as a result. The blame should not be shifted to others. Many individuals are involved in the drug procurement process. Therefore, all parties must take equal responsibility. This is an ampoule and germs cannot enter it once sealed. Contamination can occur during the production process. Therefore, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority must disclose details of the tests conducted, the results and the testing procedures, including routine inspections. We question whether this issue is similar to the infamous immunoglobulin case. Even after this vaccine was banned, the Infectious Disease Hospital administered it to 8 patients complications, resulting in one death. There's also a contradiction. All these medicines were procured through the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation. The SPC must also take responsibility if any issues have arisen.
ආයතනය මේකදී වගකීම බාර ගන්නට ඕනේ ගැටලුවක් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
දැන් අපිට ප්‍රශ්න කීපයක් පැන නගිනවා. මේ ඉන්දියානු සමාගම ලංකාවට
We have many questions. Has this Indian company distributed the medicine in question to countries other than Sri Lanka? All tested samples have failed to meet quality standards. At present, a political connection is being highlighted on social media between the government and the owners of the companies responsible. An inspection by the Ministry of Health is necessary to determine whether this company is receiving special protection or sponsorship. It has been uncovered that the quality of this medicine is subpar. How was the ban lifted within a few months, and why were these medicines not properly tested? Therefore, it appears that special treatment may have been given to this company.
මේ සමාගමේ බෙහෙත් අහු වෙනවා තත්ත්වය අසමත් කියලා. හැබැයි ඒවට තව මාස කිහිපයක් ගියාම නැවත ඒ තහනම අකුල ගන්නවා. ඒ සමාගමේ බෙහෙත් පරීක්ෂා කරන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට විශේෂත්වයක් ලැබුණා කියලා තමයි අපිට පේන්න තියෙන්නේ.
A police constable attached to Suryakanda police was assaulted by a group of individuals last night and was subsequently admitted to the Ambilipitiya District General Hospital. According to police sources, the constable was returning home on a motorcycle after completing his duties when a vehicle followed him, blocked his path, after which the occupants allegedly attacked him. While receiving treatment, the injured constable stated that he identified Ratnapura District National People's Power parliamentarian Shant Padmakumara among those involved in the alleged assault. He alleged that 5 individuals, including the parliamentarian, pursued him in a vehicle and attempted to obstruct and assault him. He claimed that the initial confrontation ended in a verbal dispute, after which the group allegedly intercepted him again on Temple Road, Kalugala, where they continued the assault and issued death threats.
On my way home after work, I stopped at a shop to purchase some groceries. Upon exiting, a vehicle belonging to Shanta stopped in front of me. He began shouting and even threatened to take my life. I responded by challenging him to act on his threats and went to my bike. At that point, he seized the keys to my motorcycle and physically attacked me, apparently in retaliation for my role in arresting individuals involved in cannabis cultivation. I was able to identify those who assaulted me. The person driving the vehicle was Pradeshya Sabha member Indika, who also attacked me. During the attack, a packet of moonshine was thrown at my face, temporarily impairing my vision.
Meanwhile, Suryakanda police confirmed that a 24-year-old individual was arrested on the 16th of this month for cultivating cannabis on a plot of land in the Veliyar area of Buluthoda, Suryakanda. The land reportedly belongs to the father-in-law of the NPP parliamentarian in question. It has also been reported that the injured police constable was involved in the operation leading to the arrest. NPP MP Shant Padmakumara convened a press briefing today to respond to the ongoing allegations. We parked our vehicle near a shop of one of our close associates when police officer Susantha Hettiarachi approached and tapped on the driver's window, signalling to speak with me privately. He questioned why his name had been mentioned in parliament during discussions regarding cannabis. I responded that all individuals involved in the related incident were named and advised him to pursue legal action if necessary, as there were no personal disputes to resolve. At that point, he attempted to strike me with his helmet. Bystanders urged me to leave, describing him as a troublemaker. We travelled approximately 300 meters when he overtook our vehicle and stopped it, leading to a verbal dispute. I then called the SSP of the Ambilipitiya police, and by the end of the call, he had fled with his helmet. Following the incident, I lodged a complaint with the Kolona police station. There was no physical assault. It was he who attempted to attack. He appeared to be heavily intoxicated, which likely explains his reference to packet of moonshine. In the meantime, responding to a query by Derana regarding the investigations related to the incident, police spokesperson, Assistant Superintendent of Police F.U. Wootler, stated that investigations are underway by 2 special police teams under the direct supervision of the Senior Superintendent of Police in charge of the Ambilipitiya area. The police spokesperson stated that attention has also been paid to the veracity of this complaint during the investigations, and that any person who misleads the investigation with false information will be prosecuted regardless of their status. Against this backdrop, a number of politicians commented on the development. Ratnapura district MP Shantha Padmakumara, along with several close associates, reportedly carried out a brutal attack on a police constable who was returning home after work. My primary concern is what measures the president intends to take against this MP in response to this incident. This NPP MP reportedly assaulted a police officer in connection with the apprehension of individuals cultivating cannabis on a plot of land in Amblipitia. When the officer revealed that the land belonged to a relative of the MP, the attack occurred. This reflects the current state of affairs in the country. The MP allegedly involved in a cannabis cultivation related incident reportedly assaulted a police officer Hettiarachi last night. It is imperative that appropriate legal action be taken against those responsible. Even during the Ranwal incident, the government failed to enforce the law effectively. While the president frequently emphasizes that no one is above the law, it was not applied impartially in Ranwal's case. We do not intend to abuse the country's law. In the case of Ashok Ranwala, we acknowledged early on, before reports were publicized, that he had been under the influence of alcohol. While we have full trust in our fellow MPs, we are saddened by the accident and urge those spreading misinformation to refrain from such action. The public now clearly sees the reality behind this government's promises. The NPP came to power pledging systematic change, yet none of the previous administrations governed in this manner. When Ranwala was accused of driving under the influence of alcohol, a police officer was interdicted. Similarly, when another NP was accused of cultivating cannabis, a different police officer was transferred.
30% discount on Apico Form and Spring mattresses. Available at Apico Supercenter and Apico Daily.
මූසහ ෆීනික්ස් නත්තල් ෆේස්ටා නොවැම්බර් 13 සිට 16 දක්වා අනුරාධපුර ස්පොට්නික් ක්‍රීඩා පිටියේදී වසරකට ළමුන් 22000කගේ පාසල් ගමන මග නවතිනවා.
එවන් දරුවන් නැවත පාසල් යවන්න අභ්‍යාස පොත් පරිත්‍යාග කරන්න. සෑම පොතකටම ඇට්ලස් පොතක් අපෙන්.
Welcome back to First at 9. As the northeast monsoon persists, the National Building Research Organisation has extended red landslide evacuation warnings for 8 divisions across Kandy and Nuwara for another 24 hours. Against this backdrop, the collapse of an earthen embankment in Badul Sirigama Badulla claimed 1 life. In the meantime, the Central Environmental Authority stated that air quality in the north, north central, northwestern and western provinces have deteriorated due to transboundary pollution and the northeast monsoon.
As the northeast monsoon set in across the island, incessant rainfall continued last night. As heavy downpours persist, several reservoirs across the country are overflowing. Due to continuous rainfall, a landslide was activated at the Vevasa estate in Badulla. Meanwhile, traffic on the Badulla-Pasara road has been restricted to 1 lane due to landslides. A 10-foot-high earthen embankment constructed next to a house in Badulu-Sirigama Badulla collapsed due to heavy rain, trapping 2 construction workers nearby. 1 worker was rescued promptly while the other remained trapped and was later rescued with great effort. However, he was pronounced dead after being admitted to the Badulla Teaching Hospital. The deceased was identified as a 55-year-old resident of Hali Allah. Following reports that a mound of earth above Mahamaya Girls College Kandy was at risk of collapse, officials from the National Building Research Organisation inspected the site today. NBRO officials determined that the threat was of the potential collapse of a layer of earth but not a landslide. The National Building Research Organisation has extended red landslide evacuation warnings for 8 divisions across the Kandy and Nuwara districts for a further 24 hours. As adverse weather continues, the Central Environmental Authority commented on the latest air quality observation in several districts.
The air quality index levels in the north, north central, northwestern and western provinces have increased to between 150 and 200. This rise is attributed to transboundary air pollution combined with the activation of the northeast monsoon. Sensitive individuals are advised to seek medical guidance. However, the situation is expected to subside within 2 days.
Meanwhile, all Gramanildaris and Economic Development Officers of the Kalpitia Division have decided to withdraw from the distribution of disaster relief. This decision has been taken in protest of attempts by a group of individuals to obstruct their duties and physically attack them. The officials request that government officials be provided with police security during the distribution of aid.
Prime Minister Dr. Cardinal held discussions with representatives of UNICEF recently regarding students affected by the disaster situation. The Prime Minister highlighted the government's efforts to protect the affected student community and rebuild the school system following the recent disaster. Measures include restoring school infrastructure, improving connectivity, implementing digital learning strategies and providing specialized transportation with a focus on both immediate relief and long-term solutions. Separately, UN Resident Coordinator for Sri Lanka, Marc-Andre Franch, met the Prime Minister and praised post-disaster reconstruction efforts. He also reaffirmed his complete support for Sri Lanka in both professional and personal capacities. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, calls on the government not to interfere with Sri Lanka's cultural values. Speaking at a ceremony in Hangwalla, the Cardinal criticised recent education reforms, claiming that certain aspects of sex education undermine long-standing cultural and moral traditions.
The newly constructed St. Joseph's Church in Pahatgama Hangwalla was declared open yesterday in a ceremony held under the patronage of Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit.
There
are multiple forces within society today that are working to undermine and destroy the institution of marriage. Through sex education from as early as 6 years old through adulthood, children are taught about alternative sexualities and are conditioned to believe that they are acceptable lifestyles. The current government is proposing education reforms that take this responsibility and right away from parents. We cannot accept this. In Sri Lanka, we have a culture that has been passed down to us over generations. We have humane cultural values shaped and guided by the principles of our religions. If one abandons these values related to marriage, raising children and sexuality and betrays our principles by adopting the aberrations of the Western world just because they give us money, no such government has the right to govern this country. Children deserve respect from all of us. Children do have human rights, that is true. However, turning a child against their parents is not a human right. Please do not interfere with the culture of our country. President Anura Dissanayake hails the Sri Lanka Army as the saviours of the nation and its people during times of crisis. The President made this statement during the commissioning parade of the Diyatalava Military Academy this morning.
The commissioning and passing out parade of cadet officers at the Sri Lanka Military Academy Diyatalava was held this morning under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake.
We faced a major crisis due to a cyclone. It is you, the Sri Lanka Army, that becomes the saviour of the people of our country whenever and wherever a crisis strikes. You carry great value and are vested with a significant responsibility. We must rebuild our motherland. We are a nation with a rich heritage and historic victories, but our country has also faced all manners of downfalls. Our responsibility is to transform our nation into an exemplary country, one that has great value and earns international recognition. Each of us has a role to play in achieving this goal. How can we move forward as a country? Is it by going against each other? Is it by doubting and suspecting each other? We can only progress through the determined and successful fulfillment of our individual responsibilities. I assure you that as a state, we will carry out our duties diligently to rebuild this nation. I invite you to fulfill your responsibilities faithfully. I also call on the public to fulfill their responsibilities properly as well.
The Derana relief operation continues to distribute aid to affected communities across the country. Mimure, a popular tourist destination, is currently experiencing severe road damage due to the disaster. In response, the Sri Lanka Air Force has taken steps to deliver essential relief supplies to residents through aerial operations. In this context, a member of the Buddhist clergy from the area contacted Derana to discuss the ongoing relief efforts. Accordingly, Derana is planning a relief operation to provide assistance to the residents of Mimure village. Lorries carrying relief supplies for the affected people are scheduled to depart for Hunnaskiriya tomorrow, from where the supplies will be transported to Mimure using available four-wheel drive vehicles. This operation is not limited to a single day and will continue until the Mimure area returns to normalcy. Welcome back to First at 9. The World Bank has approved a $50 million project to support Sri Lanka's digital transformation. The initiative aims to modernize government services, improve accessibility for citizens and businesses, and promote innovation in the country's digital sector. The project will introduce an integrated online citizen service portal, a secure government data sharing system, a digital document locker, and a scalable government cloud platform. Citizens and public servants will also receive training to use these services effectively. The project is expected to boost Sri Lanka's technology and startup sector through a digital startup accelerator, programs for mid-sized tech firms, and initiatives encouraging female entrepreneurship. These efforts are expected to attract $10 million in private investment, creating jobs and supporting IT exports. It will also strengthen disaster preparedness, allowing real-time information sharing, better coordination of emergency services, and uninterrupted access to essential government services during crises. The project will be implemented by GovTech Sri Lanka in collaboration with the Ministry of Digital Economy. And that's all for tonight from First at 9. For the latest developments around the clock, stay in touch with Other Derana News Channel, the Sri Lankan news brand of international excellence. Thank you for joining. Stay safe and have a great night.
From across the nation and around the world, this is Sri Lanka's #1 news source, Other Derana.